Google just released Gemini 3.7 Flash. And this model is interesting for one very simple reason. It is supposed to be fast, cheap, and still powerful enough to handle serious tasks. But I do not really care how good a model looks on a benchmark chart if it is annoying to use in real life. So I want to test Gemini 3.7 Flash with 4 simple tasks. Before we start, there are a few things worth knowing. Gemini 3.7 Flash is multimodal, so it can work with text, images, video, audio, and PDFs. It also has a context window of more than 1 million tokens. That basically means you can give it a huge amount of information in one conversation. But honestly, the first thing you notice when using this model is not the context window, it is the speed. This thing is extremely fast. When it starts writing code or creating a plan, the response appears almost immediately. And that matters more than it sounds, because AI models do not always get things right on the first attempt. So if the model is slow, every mistake becomes annoying. With Gemini 3.7 Flash, you can change something, test it, give feedback, and get another version very quickly. There is also the price. During the introductory period, Gemini 3.7 Flash costs around 75 cents per million input tokens and $3.75 per million output tokens. That introductory pricing is supposed to last until the end of December 2026. After that, the price goes up. But right now, this is a pretty cheap model considering what it can do. So the question is simple. Is Gemini 3.7 Flash actually good, or is it just fast and cheap? For test number 1, I am starting with something very common. I want Gemini to build a website. I am asking it to create a modern landing page for a fictional AI productivity app. I want a hero section, a few product features, pricing, some animations, and a clean design. I am not giving Gemini a reference image. I am not telling it exactly where every button should go. I want to see what it comes up with by itself. And immediately, the speed is obvious. It creates the plan and starts building almost instantly. A few moments later, I have the first version. And honestly, this is pretty decent. The hero section looks clean. We have navigation at the top. There are product cards, pricing, call to action buttons, and some small animations. It does not look like a website made by a professional design agency. There are definitely things I would change, but as a first version generated from a short prompt, it works. For test number 2, I want something interactive, so I am asking Gemini to make a simple browser game. Nothing complicated. I do not need GTA 7 running inside Chrome. I just want a small game that I can actually open and play. The prompt is simple. Create a top-down racing game. The player controls a car, avoids obstacles, earns points, and the game gets faster over time. Again, Gemini starts writing immediately, and a short time later, the game is running. The car moves. The controls work. Obstacles appear. The score increases. And if I hit something, the game ends and I can restart it. This is obviously a very basic game. Nobody is paying $70 for this. But the important part is that I went from a sentence to something playable in a few moments.
Test number 3 is probably the one I am most interested in. I am giving Gemini a screenshot of a website, only the screenshot. I am not giving it the source code, and I am asking it to recreate the general interface. I want to see how well the multimodal part of the model actually works. Gemini needs to understand the layout from the image, where the navigation is, where the text is, how the buttons look, the spacing, the overall structure, and then turn that into an actual website. The result is not pixel perfect, but it is surprisingly close. The main elements are in the correct positions. The layout has the same general structure, the proportions make sense, and most importantly, it clearly understood the visual style of the reference. This is something I find much more useful than trying to explain a design with text. Instead of saying, put a large card here, make this section slightly darker, move this button to the right, I can literally show Gemini what I mean. And now for the final test, I want to leave coding completely. One of the big advantages of Gemini is the huge context window, so I am giving it a long PDF. Imagine this is a report that I do not want to sit and read from beginning to end. First, I ask Gemini to summarize the most important points. Then I ask several specific questions about information inside the document. And this is where the large context becomes genuinely useful. Instead of manually searching through page after page, I can ask a normal question and get the relevant information back. I also try asking for a shorter summary, then a list of the most important numbers, then an explanation written for somebody who knows nothing about the subject. Gemini handles all of these without needing me to upload the document again or explain the context from the beginning. And honestly, for most people, this might be more useful than any of the coding demos. You could do this with reports, research papers, documentation, presentations, or basically any large document you do not want to manually search through. So after all tests, I think I understand why people are paying attention to Gemini 3.7 Flash. It is not because every result is incredible. The website needed changes, the game was simple, the screenshot recreation was not pixel perfect, and I would never trust an AI summary of an important document without checking the source. But that is not really what makes this model interesting. The interesting part is the combination. It is extremely fast, it is currently cheap, it can work with images and large documents, and it is capable enough to handle a lot of normal tasks without making you wait forever. The website test showed that it can create something useful quickly. The game showed how fast you can iterate. The screenshot test showed strong image understanding. And the PDF test showed why the huge context window matters outside of programming. So is Gemini 3.7 Flash the best AI model available right now? I would not say that.
There are still models that I would choose for more difficult coding or tasks where I want the absolute best reasoning possible. But that is not really the point of Flash. The point is getting a lot of capability without paying too much and without waiting too long. And that is probably the biggest difference between Gemini 3.7 Flash and some of the previous Flash models. I am not using it and constantly thinking, this is good for a fast model. Most of the time, it just feels like a capable model that also happens to be extremely fast. And considering this is still the Flash version, I think the more interesting question is what Google does with the next major Pro model. Because if this level of capability is already available in Flash, the next Pro release could be much more interesting. But for now, Gemini 3.7 Flash is better than I expected. It is not perfect. It does not win every test. But after using it for websites, games, images, debugging, and large documents, I can understand why this model is getting so much attention. And at the current price, I think a lot of people are going to start using it.